You saw the video. The heroic property owner, the corrupt HOA president, the $100,000 fine, the lake that was stolen and given back. It's a powerful story. It's well told. It's beautifully edited. It has a hero in a flannel shirt and a villain in a navy blue polo. It has everything a viral video needs. It is also incomplete. My name is not Dorothea Vance. I am not the HOA president. I am not even on the HOA board. I am a resident of Heron Ridge. I have lived here for 14 years. I moved here because of the lake. The developer promised it. The marketing materials showed it. The sales contract mentioned it. I paid more for that privilege. We all did. Let me tell you what the video did not show you. The developer of Heron Ridge, a company called Stonebridge Properties, sold 84 homes between 2003 and 2005. Every single sales contract included language about shared recreational amenities and community access to Heron Lake. There were brochures, there were maps, there were photographs of the lake. Every buyer believed they were getting access to that water. The developer never secured an easement. That was their crime. That was their mistake. But the residents didn't know that. We bought our homes in good faith. We paid a premium. We paid HOA dues. We paid lake amenity fees. We did everything right. And then Callum Reeves showed up. He inherited the lake from his grandfather. That is true. The deed was clear. The lake was his. But the developer had sold us something they had no right to sell. The residents were not the villains. We were victims too. The video made it seem like Dorothea invented the lake access out of thin air. That is not accurate. The developer invented it. The developer marketed it. The developer profited from it. Dorothea was just the person who inherited the mess. When she became HOA president, she had a problem. 84 families believed they had a right to the lake. The developer was gone. The money was spent. The residents were angry. She tried to find a solution. She consulted lawyers. She researched the deed. She discovered the truth. The lake was never ours. It was never going to be ours. The developer had lied. But instead of admitting that the residents had been defrauded, instead of telling them the truth, she tried to negotiate with Callum. She offered him a deal. The HOA would pay him a yearly fee for access. Residents could keep using the lake. Everyone would be happy. He refused. She offered again. He refused again. She was frustrated. She was desperate. She issued fines. That was wrong. I am not defending that. The fines were illegal. The $100,000 fine was absurd. She should never have done that. But the video left out the context. It left out the 84 families who had been lied to. It left out the developer's fraud. It left out the years of frustration. It made Dorothea the villain and Callum the hero. The truth is more complicated. The lake amenity fees were collected in good faith. The HOA believed they had the right to collect them. The residents believed they had the right to use the lake. Everyone was acting on information provided by the developer. When the truth came out, the money was already spent. Not stolen, spent. On lake maintenance, on dock repairs, on shoreline cleanup, on things the HOA believed were their responsibility. The video made it seem like Dorothea stole the money. There is no evidence of that. A forensic accountant reviewed the books. The money was accounted for. It was just spent on the wrong thing. Gareth Sinclair, the treasurer, was the one who called for the audit. He was not trying to expose Dorothea. He was trying to understand what happened. The audit showed that the HOA had been operating under false assumptions for years. No one stole anything. Everyone was misled. The video also left out what happened after. Callum banned everyone from the lake, not just the HOA board, every resident, every family who had learned to swim in that water, every grandparent who had fished off that dock. They were all banned, overnight. No notice, no transition, no grace. I had a daughter who was planning to have her wedding on the lake. She had to cancel. She lost her deposit. She had to find a new venue. The video did not show that. My neighbor, an elderly man named Harold, had fished on that lake for 18 years. It was his only joy. He was banned. He never went outside again. He died 6 months later. The video did not show that. The HOA board resigned. Dorothea was removed. A new board was elected. They tried to negotiate with Callum. He was difficult. He was angry. He was justified in his anger, but he was also uncompromising. Finally, after months of negotiation, they reached an agreement. Seasonal fishing permits, limited access, a fee that Callum controlled. It was better than nothing, but it was not what the residents had been promised. It was not what they had paid for. The video celebrated this as a victory. For Callum, it was. For the residents, it was a loss. We lost something we thought was ours. We lost something we had paid for. We lost something we loved. I am not defending Dorothea Vance. She made mistakes. The fines were wrong. The $100,000 fine was outrageous. She should never have done that. But the video left out the context. It left out the 84 families who had been lied to. It left out the developer's fraud. It left out the years of frustration. It made Dorothea the villain and Callum the hero. The truth is more complicated. Here is what I learned from all this. First, the developer's lie was the real crime. Stonebridge Properties sold 84 families access to a lake they did not own. They knew. They didn't care. They took the money and ran. Second, the residents were victims. We didn't know. We trusted the developer. We trusted the HOA. We trusted the system. We were wrong. Third, Dorothea was incompetent. She should have consulted a lawyer earlier. She should have negotiated better. She should never have issued fines. She made things worse. Fourth, Callum had every right to protect his property. The lake was his, the dock was his, the land was his. But he could have shown us more compassion. He could have worked with us. He could have helped us find a solution. Fifth, the truth is rarely simple. The video made it seem like a battle between good and evil. It was not. It was a tragedy, a developer's fraud, a community's loss, a family's legacy. There were no winners, only survivors. I still live in Heron Ridge. I still see the lake from my window. I still remember what it was like before the ban. I still miss the sound of children splashing in the water. I still miss the sight of kayaks drifting across the surface. The lake is quiet now. Too quiet. It is beautiful, but it is empty. Callum fishes there alone. I have seen him. He sits on the dock his grandfather built. He casts his line. He catches nothing. He stares at the water. I wonder what he thinks about. I wonder if he ever feels guilty. I wonder if he ever regrets banning us. Probably not. He is not the villain either. He is just a man who inherited something precious and fought to protect it. I respect that. I even admire it. But I wish he had shown us mercy. I wish he had worked with us. I wish we could have found a way to share the lake. The lake is big enough for all of us. There is room for fishermen and kayakers and swimmers. There is room for the HOA and the Reeves family. There is room for everyone. But the developer's lie made that impossible. The developer's greed poisoned everything. The developer's fraud destroyed a community. I still go to the lake sometimes. I stand at the edge of the water. I don't fish. I'm not allowed. I just look. I remember. I think about Harold. I think about the laughter. I think about what was lost. The lake is still beautiful. The water is still clear. The sun still sets behind the pine trees, but it is not the same. It will never be the same. The video got millions of views. People commented. They called Dorothea names. They cheered for Callum. They celebrated the ban. They didn't know Harold. They didn't know the young woman with the canceled wedding. They didn't know the 84 families who had been lied to. They only knew the video. They only knew the hero and the villain. They only knew the version of events that made them angry. I am not angry anymore. I was. I am not. Anger is exhausting. Anger consumes you. Anger makes you small. I chose to let it go. Not for Callum, not for Dorothea, for me. The lake is still there. The water is still beautiful. I can still stand at the edge and remember. That is enough. I hope Callum finds peace. I hope he sits on his dock and catches a fish and thinks of his grandfather. I hope the lake brings him joy. I hope it was worth the cost. I hope Dorothea finds peace too. I hope she rebuilds her life. I hope she learns from her mistakes. I hope she forgives herself. The developer is the villain, but the developer is gone, so we are left with each other, the residents, the HOA, Callum, all of us victims of the same lie. The lake is still there. It always will be. The dock is still there. The fish are still there. But the laughter is gone. The community is gone. The trust is gone. Drop a comment. Have you ever been lied to by a developer? Have you ever lost something you thought was yours? Have you ever been the villain in someone else's story? Subscribe for more stories every week. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. And remember, the truth is never as simple as a viral video. The lake is still there, the water is still beautiful, and somewhere a man fishes alone. See you next week.